Hello, developers and people curious about science, engineering, and technology. I'm your host, Sandeep from Training and Certification team at Zoho, and we are bringing you a developer podcast series. In this series, for the very first time, we will be bringing the PMs and the developers from the respective teams to speak not just about the developer tools, but also about product R&D and engineering. This episode is very special because we are going to go ahead and podcast one of our flagship platforms, which is Catalyst. Catalyst is a platform as a service offering from us, and our resource person from the team will be Srinath and Aravind. Welcome, Srinath. Welcome, Aravind, to the Developer Podcast. Srinath is the product manager from the Catalyst team. He has deep understanding of how full stack development works. His expertise is in bridging the gap between the requirements that are there in business and the technical possibilities in Catalyst. He is friend of pro coders. Arvind is leading the engineering team at Catalyst. He loves solving complex problems. He would just love to savor coffee and enjoy writing code. What a fine day today. How do you feel?
We are pretty excited,
By the way, I'm excited too because I've been planning this particular podcast for a very long time. It was last year when I actually got this idea for bringing up this concept for our developer audience, not just developers, but people who are curious about science, engineering, and technology. So I thought we'll bring up how we do our R&D engineering in our different applications and platforms. So now it is here. So I have some really good questions prepared, and please enlighten us today.
Thanks for having us. Sure.
Sure.
It's a pleasure to have you both today. So my first question will be to Srinath. So for the developers unfamiliar with the concept of Catalyst, uh, would you tell them what it is exactly?
Sure. So Catalyst is a full stack platform as a service offering with which developers can build, deploy, and scale their applications without managing the infrastructure. Managing the infrastructure is a pretty tedious task. You need to take care of the servers, you need to do OS upgrades, security patches, and so many things. So as a developers, when you have an idea, you don't want to have all these overheads just to go to production faster. So Catalyst solves this exact problem. So how do we do that? We actually provide services in the entire development ecosystem, say right from the front end to the back end compute, databases, storage, AI, ML, authentication, you name it, we just have it. Okay, so it's just a single stop solution for all your development needs.
As I understand it, it is standing as a full stack solution right now. My next question to you, Srinath, would be like right from 2021. I was curious about it. Like, why does it say Catalyst by Zoho and not Zoho Catalyst?
That's a great question. In Zoho is actually known for 50 plus SaaS applications, software as a service applications. Okay, but Catalyst is a standalone platform by itself. So with Catalyst, developers can actually build solutions for the Zoho applications or extend the capabilities of the Zoho applications. And we are not just restricting the platform just for Zoho. Okay, so since this is an open platform, you'll be able to build standalone products or even build solutions for external third-party products as well. Okay, so with that particular thing, so Catalyst actually serves as an acceleration for your development. And the phrase by Zoho emphasizes the credibility and trust which Zoho has for so many years. So Catalyst as a platform accelerates your development by utilizing Zoho's trust and credibility for the thing. So that means Catalyst by Zoho.
I see. And I would like to point at that acceleration part. Maybe because of that, we have named it as Catalyst because it accelerates development.
Exactly.
My next question would be for both of you, like, what inspired the creation of Catalyst?
Cool. I think he might be the better person to answer that, So I actually joined Catalyst when it was in the alpha stage. So he's there right from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Srinath. See, if I have to answer that question in a single word, I would probably say customers. They are the inspiration for anything that we create in Zoho, if I have to be honest. But let me break it down, right? See, at Zoho, we have around 60 plus business applications, and we serve a lot of customers from different parts of the world. And each customer comes up with different use cases and requirements. Now, generally, what we'll do is we'll just analyze all those requirements and build it as a generic solution or a feature or a product by itself. But as we scale and as we grow, we started to face many use cases from customers that are specific to their business domains. It cannot be generalized as a generic feature or a product or a solution. So that's when we thought, what if we open our infrastructure, the infrastructure behind all these Zoho products, to the external world, so that the customers, the external developers, they can build their own requirements, their own apps, products on top of our platform. Actually, this idea was first generated by Manivembu. The credit has to go to him. So he came up with this idea, what if we open our infrastructure to the external world, so that you guys are doing the development thing, so that same can be done externally, right? So and that is what led to the birth of Catalyst. So that's how it started.
That's really inspiring, by the way. And
I would like to add one more point. Ironically, he's wearing a Zoho T-shirt and I'm wearing a Catalyst T-shirt. So Catalyst by Zoho. So Zoho's infrastructure is being powered for Catalyst.
Makes a lot of sense that way as well. This is one of my favorite questions, by the way. As we understand, like, be it any engineer, they know, like, behind a successful product, there's a very strong R&D. All right. So if something is long-standing for a very long time, undefeated and used by so many different customers, it should have like a very strong R&D, obviously. So how does R&D at Catalyst work?
Well, I mean, if we talk about R&D in Catalyst, it's not Catalyst R&D, it's actually Zoho's R&D.
Okay.
Because like I said, it is a Zoho's infrastructure that sits at the back end of the Catalyst.
Okay.
So let's say we have a feature called Smart Browse, which actually generates a PDF. So whatever the content you give it to Smart Browse, it's a PDF. Take our Zoho products as an example. Let's take CRM as an example. You can generate a PDF of an invoice. The same is applicable to Zoho books. So all these functionalities, the PDF gen functionalities of different Zoho apps, is powered by this common framework. And that is what is being exposed in Catalyst to the external world. So the learnings we get from the Zoho products, the usages, the usage patterns, actually is being fed into the framework and which is being exposed as a solution in Catalyst. So that's why I say it's not Catalyst R&D, it's Zoho's R&D, which we have been doing for the past 25 years. So it will be battle tested with various Zoho products, various launches, various issues. So yeah, that's how it works.
It's like we don't really recreate any framework from scratch. If something necessary, it's already there, already built, so we'll be reusing it. And I'm getting this another question as an extension, which is we have engineers who are already working on AI ML libraries, and they would eventually go ahead and give you endpoints. So I hope you're also going ahead and using those endpoints within the application.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we do expose AI solutions built by us in Catalyst, like we have OCR, we have image recognition, and we have an ML model building pipeline platform, which we call as Quick ML, where you can build your own ML pipelines that can be used for prediction. And a lot of things are being done right now in the AI domain, which we'll find it exciting. We'll probably release it soon as time goes on.
Because I know that there are certain libraries already available for AI. I think we are reusing it, and something which is we'll be building and then releasing like that, isn't it? Okay. My next question would be to our PM Srinath. So, how do we stand different and remain competitive in the PaaS market?
That's another great question. Most of the platform as a service vendors out in the market, they actually try to solve one particular problem. Say, for example, databases, like providing data as a services or compute as a services or storage as a services. Okay, so if you take any use case, most probably that particular use case would involve 2 or 3 components together in order to solve that particular problem. Okay, so for a developer who's trying to write code or trying to architect a solution for this particular problem, if they come to Catalyst, they get everything inside this single stop solution. Okay, say for example a compute, a database, or a storage system, right? So that is a competitive advantage which we have with Catalyst comparing with the PaaS providers. One more thing is Catalyst is already deeply integrated with the Zoho's ecosystem. That means, say for example, when a lead is created in Zoho CRM, we have services in Catalyst called Catalyst Signals. That particular lead, that event will be all immediately available in Catalyst Signals without exhausting the webhook limits of the respective license plan in Zoho CRM. Right? That means literally we are removing the webhook limits here. Okay, so we have internal mechanisms to just transport the data between Catalyst and the Zoho product. Okay, so competitive advantage. So if you are building a solution for Zoho, Catalyst is the de facto option for you.
It makes sense because let's imagine I am a Zoho customer already using Zoho One Suite with 55 plus applications in it. If I have to build any kind of serverless solution, anything, let's say a mobile application or maybe a web application, it just makes a lot of sense. I don't have to architecturally, it just makes a lot of sense syncing Zoho and Zoho together. So I think that definitely will bring a lot of advantages for our customers over choosing any other PaaS in the market.
That's right. So one more point to add to that is, so as Arvind told, we are exposing Zoho's infrastructure via Catalyst. So if you see the releases that has been happened in Zoho for the past 10 years, the number of products that get released each year was actually exponentially grown.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what the reason for that? Because we have the framework and the tools readily available for immediately releasing a SaaS product. Okay, so since we are actually exposing those kind of tools via Catalyst, we are giving the same experience to the external world as well. Okay, so this is a competitive advantage. We have the SaaS competitive advantage. We have the SaaS knowledge of building applications with Zoho, and we are translating the same experience via Catalyst to end developers as well.
So I think it is the experienced hands, I would say,
Exactly.
creates a big impact right here. My next question will be to you, Srinath, again. What is the biggest challenge you face as a Catalyst PM? And how do you deal with it?
Probably dealing with me, I guess.
That's the second one. Maybe, from a user perspective, it would be like balancing between simplicity and flexibility. Catalyst is mostly used by pro code developers. So developers, they expect actually full control of their code and then architecture. But businesses expect ease of use. Right, so to balance this particular simplicity and flexibility is the most challenging part. Okay, so it needs to be, say for example, a new developer is coming inside of Catalyst. It needs to be intuitive enough for them to learn, and then, but it should always be powerful for expert developers too. Okay, so that's the major challenge. So the next question was, how do I deal it, right?
Yes.
So what we are actually practicing in Catalyst is, we build a particular feature or a service. We actually provide early access to a set of users. First, we provide early access to partners and then a select customers as well. Okay, so we see the usage pattern, we gather the feedback, and then if something is wrong, we try to fix it in the early access program that particular time period itself. Okay, so at that particular time, we have options to fine tune what we are actually offering. Okay, so I have that particular privilege to, before going a particular feature goes to live, I have the privilege to have some users comment on my particular feature. Okay, so that's easier for me.
Actually, what I feel is your principle of handling something powerful with simplicity. I think that's hard coded into the DNA of each and every product of Zoho that we see everywhere. Actually,
Exactly, yeah.
So moving on to the next question. This one is for our developer, Arvind. So how were the initial days engineering Catalyst? Because as he mentioned, you from the very beginning, from the birth of Catalyst, so you'll have to answer this.
Well, it was quite challenging, exciting, and sometimes painful, if I have to be honest, right? But we did a lot of prototyping, a lot of rebuilding, refactoring the code, sometimes scrapping the features. All those things happen. But luckily, we didn't start from scratch. We already had the infrastructure up and running. The only challenge we faced is how are we going to externalize this? Like, we had to rethink the APIs. We have to think like how can we expose this as a developer friendly thing so that the external developers can just come in and start developing. So we have to make it developer friendly. So these are the challenges that we faced initially at the engineering time. But yeah, I mean, it's part of the process, right? So all those things is what made Catalyst it is right now. So yeah, it was good, exciting, painful. I think I can probably show all the emojis in WhatsApp. So if you ask me, the initial days of Catalyst.
Well, how is the excitement right now?
Yeah, it's good. The day one excitement is still right there, but with a lot of responsibilities. So yeah.
Now that you have like 8 years of experience,
Yeah.
that definitely makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
My next question would be to Aravind. Like, how do you balance engineering new features and at the same time maintaining stability? Because we often tell this to our customers. Like, you go on a holiday for a week, and you will see that there'll be new features and even a product in Zoho ecosystem. So we are constantly progressing. We are bringing in a lot of new technologies to our ecosystem. So as you're working on new technologies, how do you also manage the stability of the current things which are there in the platform?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I remember correctly, initially we used to have just function as a service in Catalyst and another feature called web client hosting. So these are the two major things that we had in Catalyst. And yeah, we had other things like data store, file store, but the major thing that uh, were used by customers are functions and web client hosting. And now, we have a lot of services, a lot of features. So yeah, we have developed a lot. And regarding maintain the stability, there are three key principles to that, in my opinion. The first thing is clearing the engineering depth as much as possible. No, it's impossible not to have engineering depths. There will be engineering depths when you work on an engineering solution, but you have to have it under control. So that is the first thing. Second thing is, so whenever you release something, do it in an iterative way. Don't just go crash into the market. Don't just do that. So like Srinath mentioned earlier, what we'll do is first we'll open it to our internal developers. So internal users, ask them to use this feature and get the feedbacks, then to the partners and then to the customers. So we do some iterative release, which also helps us to maintain the stability from the engineering point of view. And the third thing is actually we have a dedicated team to maintain, to monitor, and to enhance these kind of stability issues, whom we call it as site reliability engineering. So their job is to constantly monitor the servers, database, so all those memory issues are taken care by them. So we have a dedicated team for that now.
So we have, I think, everything in place, just in case any problem comes up, to face it immediately and resolve it,
Yeah.
so that our customers face no issues.
Exactly.
Well, something that you mentioned regarding like when Catalyst initially started off, it started off as PaaS. Sorry, no, what is it? Function as a service, PaaS. So I have an interesting story to share myself. It was in one of my trainings actually. So what they actually did was it was one of our partners, Zoho partners. So what they have done is like they have written a function, and this function is written in CRM. a deluge function written in Zoho CRM. And Zoho CRM has this ability to quickly help you generate an endpoint so that it can be given to any client so that it can invoke it, and the function can run, the deluge function can run on the server so that they can achieve whatever task they have to achieve. So that is the first time I'm introducing someone to Catalyst was new at that time, and I said, see, you're doing something which is quite irrelevant to CRM. If you're writing a function related to CRM, inside CRM makes sense. I guided them directly to Catalyst. See, this is a serverless platform. You can go ahead and write your function. By then, we had some three languages, I believe, three programming languages. Python, JavaScript with Node.js, and we also had the Java stack. So I guided them to go ahead and write functions there instead of writing it in the CRM, because I achieved two things: introducing Catalyst to the partner. Second thing, teaching them the right way to do the things. So that is one of my stories which I had to share with you today.
I never knew you were part of early business team of Catalyst. I think you were one of the.
If you're saying so, that's a privilege for me. That's an honor for me, actually. Thank you so much. I have another interesting question for you, Arvind. We are working on a very high performance programming language, which is Pali, and Pali is still being built. And as I've seen a lot of written posts from Sridhar, we have been using it already. So, are we using Pali in Catalyst?
Well, at present, we are not using it in Catalyst, but we do have plans to support Pali in Catalyst. As a we want to give Pali as a developer choice to the external customers. So
Just
we have
like
plans
how
for that.
We have Python and Node.js, so we'll have a Pali runtime as well.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. We do have plans for that, and hopefully you can play with it soon in Catalyst. Yeah.
Thanks for that. And what are the biggest challenges your team faces, Arvind, on a daily basis while engineering Catalyst?
The biggest challenge, I would say, is we as a Catalyst team are building a platform. It is actually different from building a SaaS app, a single SaaS app. The difference, what the difference exactly is, we have to be ready from day one. Like say, if in some SaaS products, you can have some limitations. But in Catalyst, we cannot afford to have those limitations because it is a platform. Let's say we have data store in Catalyst. Now, if I put you can only insert 1,000 rows for this edition, or you can insert at most 10,000 rows or 1,00,000 rows. It doesn't make any sense, right? So we have to be scalable from the word go. So that is one of the challenge we have in Catalyst. Whatever we expose, whatever we release, it shouldn't have any limitation because it is a platform. So in order to solve that, we spend a lot of time in the architecture design phase. So that's how we do things in Catalyst.
I actually was inspired from this particular answer. I actually was thinking that, okay, when you're building something, there has to be some boundary which you'd be giving, but thinking to make something boundless, that is really brilliant.
Yeah.
So that putting it into engineering is a real challenge.
Yeah. The same is applicable for SaaS product. I'm not saying there can be limitations in a SaaS product, but the thing is, there will be some breathing space in a SaaS product. Like, when you release a feature initially, you can go with some limitations, and then you can scale, you can see the usage patterns, and then you can go further. But in a platform, that breathing space, it's very
minimal.
Yeah, very minimal. And that too with a PM like Srinath, it becomes really tough.
We are thankful.
It's not just the PM; it's a user. User is requesting for
exactly
limitations.
You have
just
to.
Pulling a leg.
Okay. So my next question is for both of you, by the way. So how are breakthroughs in science and technology is adopted into Catalyst? You read something, you research something, there's a breakthrough in science and tech. How do we quickly adopt it? How do we analyze it basically? This thing, right? Is it adoptable or non-adoptable? Is it useful or not useful? How do you bring it in Catalyst?
Mostly that will be in my side, so I'll be the one who is actually experimenting with whatever is actually available in the market. Recently, if you see, the breathtaking science and technology advancement is obviously generative AI and LLMs, right? So LLMs are actually getting advanced even faster than we think. Okay, just as we speak, and I'm not sure when this particular video is going to be released. Even in that particular short time, there might be a completely new one, like DeepSeek just came so out of
It showed up nowhere.
out
Yeah.
of nowhere, and he was just doing wonders. Okay, so it's just so much of advancements. Okay, but we'll be able to see how much the potential of each of those particular models actually do for a platform like Catalyst, how it can actually enhance the productivity of the developers, how it can accelerate the enhance the productivity of the developers as well. So when we actually see, obviously nobody wants to miss a bus. Okay, considering as a PM we are here to build products, and then when a bus is happening, I would immediately go and ask Arvind, can we do this? Okay, but there is something called business impact. What value are we actually bringing out of that particular feature? Are we just doing this just for the bus, or does it really solve a particular problem for the end user? Okay, when you take that particular things in a weighing scale, always the things which really solve the problem takes priority. Okay, and that's how we actually, so this is something which a customer can really use and get benefited out. Okay, so we pick those kind of science and technology advancements only.
That makes a lot of sense, because that is like serving the purpose of providing something as a service. And taking from what you mentioned regarding what is that?
DeepSeek.
Yeah, DeepSeek. It showed up like from nowhere, and now if you open social media, you would see that there are many posts asking about what is India doing. So we have OpenAI from United States. We have DeepSeek from China. What is India doing? So how would, I think you're the right person to give an answer to this. So how will you address this question that different people, tech or non-tech? So people who are into engineering already, they know what's going on in the thing. So this question is mostly for non-tech people. How do you like to address them? Like, what can we do?
A simple answer: we are cooking something already. Okay, so you will hear something from us soon. Our former CEO actually stepped down and became the chief scientist inside of Zoho, right? So you'll hear from us soon.
I
Something
think
good is coming.
we already had golden days of Zoho. I think we are going to see something much more higher than this from now on. Now that R&D is going to take a full boost from now on, so we'll see something more than what is golden age at Zoho. Definitely.
Yeah.
This round is, I call it as quick answers round. So I'll be posting you questions and you'll be quickly giving me the answers. So it can be a word, or you can limit it to a sentence. So I have a few questions for you, Srinath, and a few questions for you, Arvind. So let's begin the round right now. All right. So to you, Srinath, which is the first Catalyst feature you worked on?
Well, it was actually, fine-tuning the existing Catalyst features. As I told, I was in the alpha stage of the product. So I was first fine-tuning the product, but the major first feature which I worked was the pricing for Catalyst.
Oh, okay. If you weren't a product manager, what would you be?
Probably a storyteller or a filmmaker, maybe. Product management is all about, framing a narrative and then solving problems, right? So
Okay.
if it wasn't this, maybe I
It
would
would
do
be
the
that.
same job elsewhere.
I think you'd make a good filmmaker. He has some awesome cameras. Yeah. And some drones too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He brings that to all our trips.
By the way, he did mention that he's a gadgets man, so
Yeah.
that completely makes sense. What's the most overhyped technology in 2025, according to you?
AI replacing developers.
AI replacing developers? Okay. What is the most underrated technology in 2025?
That would be serverless orchestration and event-driven architectures.
Why is that so?
Okay, so when someone says serverless, they often just limit it just to functions. But the real game changing is actually in serverless orchestration. So when you build multiple functions, you just connect them to bring out a workflow. That is where the real power is actually there.
I do have a detailed question on that. I'll be asking you later. If you could pitch Catalyst to one of these CEOs, who would that be? Elon Musk, Satya Nadella, Tim Cook, or Sundar Pichai, and why?
Wow. I would say Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. Okay, so why? That's the question, right? Okay. See, Microsoft Azure has been investing deeply in the developer platforms and developer tools of late. So if you consider Zoho's strategy and Microsoft strategy, so it is somewhat like there is certain things which resonate well. Okay, so why I say Azure is for someone who is there in the Zoho ecosystem and using the Microsoft ecosystem, if we could actually provide an integration between Catalyst and Microsoft Azure, that would actually open up possibilities for hybrid cloud development. Okay, so that would be a game changer for the users who are using both of these
platforms. Okay. If you had to name Catalyst after a movie, what would it be? Is it Inception, The Transformers, The Matrix, or The Interstellar?
Inception would be a great choice. As in the movie, it goes like it goes deep inside the dreams, right? Just like that, we go deep inside the full stack development, right from the front end to the back end compute to the databases, everything.
It makes a lot of sense.
But there is a close one again, the Matrix. Why, if you ask, when someone actually comes to Catalyst, they don't want to go back to the traditional cloud development, just like in the movie.
In the movie, you are in the Matrix.
Yes.
That's a nice one.
That was good one, really good one. No code, low code, or pro code?
Pro code all the time.
That's why you were the Catalyst PM.
Yes.
Describe Catalyst in one single word.
Catalyst. It's not just a name. We really mean it. Your ideas don't need a server. They need a catalyst.
To pace the development. Now, I have a set of questions for you, Arvind. So be ready. The first code you wrote for Catalyst.
First code?
Yeah.
I think it's an API for data store feature. It's probably the backend API for data store feature. That is the first code I wrote in Catalyst, I guess. Yeah.
What's a skill every developer should master, according to you?
The ability to constantly learn. So that is the skill every developer should master. And, in this AI era, you'll quickly become irrelevant if you're not constantly learning. So, yeah.
Obsolete, you'd be called. So, which is your favorite programming language? I know, by now you'd have worked with tons of languages, but which is your favorite?
Well, I would still say Java. Recently, I'm working in Golang for certain features, but I still go with Java if I have to pick one. I know it's old school, but yeah.
Reliable.
Yeah.
Sometimes old schools are the best,
What is your most hated bug? Is it a logical error, runtime error, or syntax error?
Developer hate bugs. Be it any category, they just hate bugs. But since you're asking, I would say logical bugs, because they are the most deceptive ones. Syntax errors, the compiler catches them for you. Runtime errors, you'll get an obvious failure. Like, this is the error or this is the exception.
It'll not only run.
Yeah, but logical bugs, they sit silently until something happens. And fortunately or unfortunately, that happens in the production, and that too just before the weekend.
And you have to sit to figure out what's going on.
So that is the one which I hate the most.
Okay. You go to resource for coding help.
You mean quick code references?
Yes.
Stack Overflow, obviously.
That's
but
universal one. Universal one,
Yeah, universal one. But Yeah, but now LLM ChatGPT, is giving a tough competition. Yeah, but still Stack Overflow. Yeah,
A lot of repos are there.
So much.
and a lot of interactions, comments. Yeah,
The huge community
Yeah.
support you get there, so that makes a big difference.
exactly.
Here's a good one. What's the biggest threat to cloud security today?
I think it would be the lack of awareness, like what actually the cloud security is and how to handle it. The awareness about handling the avoiding cloud security is what the biggest threat. Sometimes people take security for granted, but no, that's where Zoho stands apart. One of our sole focus is security. Our CEO said, right, if we fail by security, that is the worst way to do so. So yeah, I think the lack of awareness.
Then again, as you mentioned, we really sometimes go for a foolish implementations as users, definitely.
Yeah.
So that can't be helped. Maybe a training would do.
Yeah.
But again, people make quite a lot of foolish mistakes. This is a challenging question. Will AI replace developers? See, this question is something which has been there. Will something replace something else right from the invention of transistors
Yeah.
in 1950s? So, what would you say today?
In my opinion, no. It won't replace the developers. At least it won't fully replace the developers. No, instead, it will boost their productivity. Like, if you want to develop an app, before AI, you may need 5 developers. Now with AI, LLMs, coming up, I think it can be done with a couple of developers. Because their productivity increases. So that's how it will be, and I think that's where we are heading.
Even our chief scientist Sridhar Vembu did mention about power looms replacing the traditional looms with the power looms, by which he meant that there will be high-end tools, but there is no threat to developers. It is just focusing on making developers productive, so that developers can actually put their brains into something which is above all these things. That really makes a lot of sense. Now, this is a question for both of you. If Catalyst started talking, all right, if Catalyst started talking, what is the first thing it would say to you, each one of you?
Give me full control. I'll be the PM.
Okay. Arvind?
I think probably it would ask me, when is my next major update? Yeah.
Okay. Why is that so?
No, I mean, we are planning some certain updates.
Okay.
So looking forward
So
to
it's
that's
eager
why-
to,
yeah.
come up.
Yeah.
I see. And I think we are done with this round.
Sure.
Let's start the core round. So in this core round, this is much anticipated because it will give our viewers and listeners the exposure to the core features which are available in Catalyst. I have some questions for both PM and the developer. So going with the first one, it's related to our Catalyst serverless. What are the core features that are available in Catalyst serverless?
Serverless service in Catalyst, we actually offer compute services. When you go and ask a developer, like when you tell him the name serverless, he will immediately relate it to a Catalyst function or in general any function. Okay.
I think that is a common misconception
Exactly.
in the industry.
Exactly.
Right? When you say serverless, they think about just pass. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But serverless in general, as if you just look at the definition of serverless, it is like you don't have to manage the servers, and it is completely pay as you go. So that is it. Okay. So it is not just related to code, it is everything that actually comes under this particular umbrella. Okay. So as part of the Catalyst serverless service, we have 3 features. The first one is obviously serverless functions. With functions, you just write a backend logic, and then you can actually trigger it as an HTTP one, or if say for example in Catalyst we also have other services called for databases, storage, everything. If an event is being produced by these services, you will be able to execute a Catalyst serverless function based on the data that was present in that particular storage system or the database. Okay. So the next one is app sale. Okay. So serverless functions in general, actually, it just solves a particular functionality. So say for example, I need to send an email. So I write a serverless function. I need to fetch the data from Zoho CRM, fetch the lead data from Zoho CRM. That could be a serverless function. But with AppSale, we provide you a platform where you'll be able to deploy full stack applications with AppSale. Say for example, if you are a Java developer, you'll be able to deploy Spring Boot, Spring MVC, those kind of applications directly using AppSale. So that way you just bring us a WAR file in case of Spring MVC and we'll just run it for you. And if you are a Python developer, a Python application with Flask runs flawlessly with Catalyst AppSale. Okay, so the whole concept of AppSale is you don't have to learn anything specific to Catalyst. You just code in your preferred coding programming language, use the frameworks of your choice, and then just bring that particular code and put it on Catalyst. It just runs. Okay, so that's the advantage of Catalyst AppSale. The third one is the most favorite one for me. So as I told earlier, serverless functions, they don't work in isolation. There is always some multi-step logic behind any use case. That particular logic might require, a retry logic, or sometimes a decision tree. Say if this particular thing happens, do this, or if something else happens, do that. Okay, so when you want to orchestrate certain things in this particular way, that's where Catalyst circuits comes in. So you write so many microservices or functionality as serverless functions. You just connect them using workflows, and then you configure it as a circuit. Say for example, I will give an example. Say when an order is being placed, it gets inserted into Zoho CRM. So a circuit gets triggered. The first serverless function, the first state in the workflow, what it does is it goes and checks for the payment validation, whether the payment has been made successfully or not. Once that is success, the next thing is go and update Zoho inventory that the product has been purchased. So update the inventory records. And then after that, the next serverless function, what it does is it creates an invoice and sends an email to the customer. So all these things are three different things, but you'll be able to orchestrate everything as part of a Catalyst circuit. Okay, so in this particular thing, you can have branches, conditional statements, or if your use case demands parallel execution, so it should not be sequence. It needs to be executed in parallel. So that is also possible with Catalyst circuit. Okay, so that's why I told serverless orchestration is actually underrated. Okay, that actually solves a lot of problems. So I would advise all the Catalyst developers to try out Catalyst circuits. If you are a function user, most of the time Catalyst circuit might be an apt choice for you as well for your use case.
You wouldn't believe, Srinath, like it was on Wednesday. I had this Zoho CRM developer training, and that day was dedicated to discussing circuits in CRM. So I believe they're both sharing the same DNA, or Catalyst one is little different.
It's the same backend which we are exposing as part of Catalyst and in CRM.
So when I delivered this training on using circuits, I told them about how circuits can orchestrate functions. The partners were like, it was a partner training. The partners were like, this is so good. This is so powerful. It is like combining, so many powerful tools which we already know in Zoho ecosystem. Like we have flow control, we have blueprints, we have workflows. It is combining them all. And I wish we knew this earlier, because they had done many implementation without knowing that you could orchestrate functions like so powerfully like this. So, and the one feature they liked so much is being able to, as you said, you can create parallel processes. So certain tasks can be in series, certain tasks to optimize the process to save time, you can run them in parallel. As I understand, circuits can execute 10 parallel tasks together. So they were really impressed looking at such powerful tool. So mighty impressive actually to have it in all these flagship application, the ability to orchestrate functions. My next question to you, Srinath, is based on cloud scale. Uh, how effectively one can scale application with Catalyst?
Okay, when you say cloud scale, it's actually not one service. It's actually a combination of so many backend as a service components. Say, for example, a database. We have a service called Catalyst Data Store. It's like, a serverless database. That means I can proudly say this: there is nobody out in the market who actually provides a database that scales down to zero. That means only if you use a particular you make an insert call, you make an update query, you are charged only for that particular thing. When in not use, you are not charged.
That's quite interesting, actually. So the charging strategy is completely based on the cost that a client would place to Catalyst.
Exactly. Catalyst follows a pay-per-use pricing model. Okay, so
That's quite cost effective, I think.
exactly. Particularly when you consider for startups and SMBs, these kind of tools they actually welcome, because they don't want to see. Because I used to read the Reddit forums and Twitter threads. Okay, so like users will be complaining about certain competitors pricing, like they just switched on something overnight, and then when they wake up, the bill would be like $3,000, $4,000. Okay, so that is somewhat like crazy things. Okay, so we don't want to do that as part of Catalyst. Okay, so data store is a powerful feature which provides this option. And Catalyst Cloud Scale is not just about data store. It also has Stratus. It's an object storage solution where you can just upload TBs of data even in it, and it just scales like that.
I think that will be, very useful in big data implementations, because as you can store so much of data over there.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So one more data service which we offer is the cache. So if you don't want persistent data, so because obviously reading from a database is actually slower than reading from a memory, right?
Yes.
So certain cases developers like to have data stored in a cache and then retrieve data. Okay, so we have that particular service as well. And obviously the best part of everything is all these comes with security and privacy of Zoho. Okay, so with that being said, we also offer an authentication service. That means you build a web application, you can have sign in, sign up, and then all those particular functionalities, and then everything is readily available. So it's the same particular system which is being used in 55 plus Zoho applications. It's the same authentication that is being used. Okay, so some more services which CloudScale offers include push notifications, email. So you want to send an email from your applications, and and then one more thing we have is called web client hosting. That means you'll be able to build and host front-end applications on web client hosting. Say, for example, JavaScript-based applications, a React application. Okay, so CloudScale is designed to be a backend as a service. Okay, so you just come to CloudScale, you'll find everything. And then I forgot to mention about NoSQL database. Catalyst now supports a NoSQL database. Particularly, I was talking about SMBs and startups, right? But when you go to enterprise scales, they have so much of data. So they need a powerful system to store and retrieve, right? So for those kind of use cases, we provide a NoSQL option as well. Okay, so CloudScale is, it's the most used service as of date in Catalyst.
So when was this NoSQL released?
It was recently announced. It's in early access, right? So it's not just NoSQL. We have 7 new services in early access. Okay, so it's been open for partners and select customers. So we are actually hearing great things about the features.
So we have like SQL database for certain applications, such as like, let's say I want to build a CRM or something there. SQL databases will be useful, and wherever you need a quick storage and retrieval of information, there NoSQL will make sense. NoSQL, SQL, you mean by saying storing data in the form of JSONs, right? As
Key value storage.
key value storages.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question to you, Aravind, based on CloudScale, how does Catalyst simplify API management?
Yeah, I mean, with respect to API management, we do have API gateway, with which you can manage your APIs by enabling authentication, enabling throttling, URL rewrites, and mapping it to a backend code. All these things can be done via our API gateway. And also, we are actually developing a service which is particularly targets the API management aspect. With which what you can do is, you can probably define all your APIs, generate the docs automatically, generate the SDKs for those APIs automatically, and also the feature which we are developing automatically takes care of the API automation. So it automatically generates the test cases, runs it, and sends you the report.
That's wonderful, actually. So yeah, I actually used to always wonder, looking at the SDK documentations of various applications, like do they do this manually? Because they are generating SDKs for 8 or 10 top programming languages.
Yeah.
So there should be some tool for this.
Yes.
Now I get your point.
Yes, I mean, there are a lot of tools in the market, but what we are building is, the most important thing, it also covers the automation part. So with the API definition that you give to this feature, it automatically generates the test cases, and it makes life easier for developer. It improves their productivity, saves a lot of time, and you can ship your APIs bug free. So yeah, that is how we want to simplify the API management at Catalyst.
Thank you for that. My next question will be again to you, Arvind. How is apps authentication and authorization layer simplified in Catalyst?
Well, the toughest job I would say is to develop an authentication framework, like a security framework. That is one of the challenging jobs in our industry. Let's assume you're building an app from scratch, and if you want to develop an authentication framework, then you have to start from like what are all the encryption algorithms that you are going to use, how the token is going to be generated, how those tokens are going to be managed, how am I going to validate, invalidate, all those kind of things. You have to figure it out if you're going to build the apps from scratch. And that's where the Catalyst authentication comes into the picture. So we take care of all these things. So you don't have to worry about managing tokens. So you don't have to worry about validating or invalidating it. So all these things are taken care by the authentication management framework which you provide. The developer has to just include a single line of code in his app, and that's it. So all these things will be automatically taken care by the backend framework.
That is, I think, a good amount of abstraction.
Yeah.
Boost activity.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one more thing. So this is actually the authentication framework that is being used by our Zoho products. So, when you log into CRM or when you to log into books, probably what will happen is a cookie will be generated at the browser, and those cookie will, and that is what we call as the session management, right? So that framework is what being exposed in Catalyst as authentication.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That is carried forward in all the apps and platforms.
Exactly.
Okay. The next question to you, Aravind, is how does Catalyst handle apps with unpredictable traffics? Like people might build such an application which is like drawing in a lot of requests.
Yeah. Well, so whatever you build in Catalyst is auto scale by default. So we monitor all the incoming traffics, the request patterns, and we automatically spin up the required instance and resources at the backend. So yeah, that's how that's why we call it as serverless. And when no traffic comes into your app, it goes to zero. So that's what we call it as the scale to zero thing.
Scale to zero. I get your point right now very clearly.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we continuously monitor the traffic request patterns. Based on that, we make some decisions and we spin up instances and resources. That's how we handle traffic in Catalyst.
I see.
That's actually a perfect question for the perfect guy,
And I'm very satisfied actually, because the moment you said scale to zero, I was wondering the things behind it, and you completed it. By giving that brilliant answer.
Yeah, and it saves a lot of cost to the external users. When your app is not being used, you don't have to pay for the resources. Yeah.
My next question will be to you, Arvind. How does Catalyst CLI help with development and deployment of applications?
The main aim of our CLI is to provide a truly local developer experience. We have a lot of backend components in Catalyst, and we can't always ask the developers to log into the browser and develop their app, right? Now, developers likes to use the IDEs, the open source tools that are available in the market. That's where the CLI comes into the picture. With CLI, you can install it in your developer machine, generate boilerplate codes, develop your own app, and then you can use the CLI to test it locally. And once you're done with that, we even have provided a single command to deploy the app right from your developer machine to the production. And I mean, that's not the correct way of doing it, but you can do it. And if you want to use our CLI in a CI/CD environment, that is also pretty much possible. Probably you can define a pipeline, install our CLI in it, run all the unit test cases and all the other testings, and then we can deploy the app to our environment just with a single command.
I see that in this particular aspect, we are providing this hybrid benefit. People who want to go traditional can use the CLI, and people who want to develop directly from the application itself, they can open the app or the platform.
Yeah.
They can open the platform from the browser and build it over.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now we are into the next interesting topic, which is AI and ML. So my first question to Srinath will be, what are the different AI tools we have in Catalyst?
There are actually 3 offerings of AI and ML in Catalyst. The first one is Zia services. So Zia is very familiar to the Zoho users, right? So as part of the Zia services, we offer some APIs, say for example, an OCR, an optical character recognition. You have an image, there are some text in that particular image, you want to extract the text. Okay, just imagine how much manual effort this is going to save for the developer or the end user. Okay, so I still, when I discuss with some customers, they used to tell they have a dedicated team just to validate. What is it? It's just a data entry job. They'll just take an image or a PDF or any particular thing, right? They will just see what is the text, and then they'll enter it in a Excel sheet or something, right? So the developer came and asked us, do you have a solution to automate this particular thing? Okay, in pretty much, all the Zia services, the APIs which we have in Catalyst were a request from customers only. Okay, so OCR is one such particular case, and then object recognition. Say for example, you have an image, right? There are multiple objects, say for example, a bottle or a cat or a dog. Okay, they want to identify what are all the objects that are actually present in that particular things. And then image moderation. Okay, say if certain cases, say for example, companies want to have APIs where they want to moderate the image before showing it. Say for example, if you take an Instagram, when you actually see certain images, it will be like masked with the words like sensitive content, right? So it is not something which is being manually entered. Say they just use an image moderation API, and if that particular API gives a negative value, they just mask that particular image. Okay, so we offer those kind of APIs as part of the Catalyst umbrella. Okay, and then these are just some notable mentions. We also have 3 other APIs as part of the Zia services. Okay, so the next major service in the AI/ML which we have is QuickML. So QuickML is a recently launched one. So it's an ML platform which actually helps you build and train custom models of your choice. That means you have a data set. It could be your own data set, or it could be a data set or the data from a Zoho application. Say for example, you want to take the CRM data, and then based on the CRM data, you want to predict a certain thing. Say for example, deal prediction. You have the history of data in CRM, like if the pattern is like X is 1, Y is 2, Z is 3, the deal was actually closed. And if the particular value is in a different thing, the deal was actually lost. Okay, so if you take this particular data and then put it into QuickML, if the similar pattern or similar record, a lead comes into CRM, that particular API will be able to predict whether this particular lead will be closed or not upfront, so that you can actually change your sales logic, or you can actually change your how the way you sell, and then you can actually make it close the deal, right? So this is what exactly QuickML does. Okay. So it is actually somewhat like a no-code approach which we have in QuickML. Say first you will be uploading the data set, and then that particular data set will be transferred into a pipeline. A pipeline is like there will be multiple stages. You can actually clean the data, you can actually pre-process the data, or post-process the data, everything. And then there will be an option for you to choose the various ML algorithms inside of QuickML. That means each algorithm has been developed for a particular case. So based on the data set, you can actually play around with the various algorithms which are present in QuickML, and then you can just tell, okay, this particular algorithm works better for this kind of data set. We'll also show the accuracy of the particular data set in the QuickML console itself. Okay, so that way you'll be able to create a model easier, and then finally we'll just give you an API which you will use to predict.
Okay.
It's just a REST API endpoint. You can just integrate this particular REST API endpoint to anywhere, and then you just pass in the data. It'll just tell you the prediction.
That is quite interesting, actually. As a follow-up, you mentioned that all these features are part of like no code. Do we have a pro code version of this, so that, let's say I'm an ML engineer and I would like to create my own model? So can I do that in Catalyst?
That's going to be in the roadmap of QuickML. Okay, so we started with no code, and then we are adding more flexibility to QuickML platform. Okay, so I think in a couple of months there are going to be some releases wherein there will be options for you to host open source LLMs models as well.
Oh, okay.
So we'll actually offer certain known models out which are actually open source, and then we'll give you an API. You can just build applications using that particular API. And in future there will be options to host your own ML model as well. Okay, so it's literally like we are opening up our infrastructure, our AI ML infrastructure via QuickML. And the last AI ML service which we have in Catalyst is called ConvoCraft. Right, so ConvoCraft is actually a chatbot building platform. But what's different with the traditional chatbots and ConvoCraft, if you ask me, it is an NLU powered chatbot. That means, say for example, end users just like to type in the language which they know. They don't want to just go and click certain bot. Say for example, there will be like certain buttons. Okay, so traditional chatbots, what they do is
predefined questions.
Predefined question. There will be in the traditional chatbot, there will be some predefined questions. What do you want to do? Do X, do Y, do Z. Okay. Instead, what if all those things can be combined, and then if it is asked as a single question? That means instead of you going and clicking the answer for each question, instead of you answering 3 questions, you can just ask a question and a single question, and the chatbot actually answers. Okay, so it's a very powerful chatbot builder which is NLU powered. Okay, so that is also part of the Catalyst umbrella. So these are the 3 powerful features which we have as part of the AI ML.
Can we apply ConvoCraft in chat-driven applications of Zoho? Like the various applications we have, Sales IQ is there. Then again, we also have chat functionality in Zoho Desk. Do we see any future integration?
Okay, so it's actually, if you see, all this particular chatbots have the same platform.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is being released as part of the Catalyst umbrella for the external world. It's being powered by the same backend.
I got your point right now.
If you see any feature in Catalyst, probably it'll be any feature in Zoho products.
Yeah.
Probably it'll be using the framework that is being exposed in Catalyst to the external world. So yeah,
that is good to know. Actually, what I thought is maybe immediately when you said that we can use ConvoCraft for building such powerful bots, maybe we could apply this to various situations in, let's say, a support process in Zoho Desk, or let's say marketing process or sales process in Sales IQ. So something like that. But now I get your points. My next question will be for both of you. How does the future of Catalyst look with AI?
Well, AI is going to be part of everything we do at Catalyst. I think very soon we are going to launch a new service called Catalyst Slate. Okay, so it's like a front end platform that lets you deploy applications. Next.js is a framework that is being trending recently. Okay, so it's like a server side rendering concept that is being used in that particular programming language. Okay, so you'll be able to deploy Next.js kind of applications using Catalyst Slate. But a cherry on the top for that particular services, we are actually providing an LLM integration with Catalyst Slate. That means you just come inside Catalyst Slate, you just type a prompt, it will generate the entire front end code for you. You just click a button and it will be deployed to Catalyst Slate.
Wow.
That means you just get an URL and then the app just renders.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
so
brilliant actually.
that is the first level of AI and ML integration which we are doing with Catalyst Slate, and the same is going to follow for all the Catalyst services. Just imagine, I was talking about databases. You just go to the console or this particular AI agent which we are building. You just tell him, okay, this is the application. Just create the tables relevant for this type of applications. And then it just goes and creates 4 tables for you. And then what you have to do is just generate the code and then connect this particular tables as well. So everything in Catalyst is going to be powered with AI.
What will be the job of developers then?
Developers
Building these tools, building these powerful tools.
Yeah.
see, again, there is something, as Arvind told, I don't actually believe AI is going to replace developers. Okay, so AI is going to be a co-pilot for developers, definitely. But there are certain aspects of AI which I think cannot actually be solved at all. Say, for example, architectural decisions, creativity. Okay, so these are the kind of things which really needs human intelligence as well. Okay, so it needs a guy like Aravind. Okay, so it cannot be solved by AI. Okay, so of course it can be a co-pilot, but I don't think it can replace development.
We'll have to map his entire brain then. Only then. My next question will be to you, Arvind. What are the full stack capabilities in Catalyst?
Well, we claim Catalyst as a full stack development platform, right? See, let me explain the reason why we do so. When you take a full stack application development lifecycle, it involves various stages. Let's say you're building a ticket booking application, movie ticket booking application, right? The first thing a developer would do is design the database. Now decide what are all the tables he's going to create, what are all the constraints, what are all the relationships, right? In that phase, the Catalyst data store comes into the picture. So the developer can use the data store if he wants, or if he wants a completely non-RDBMS database, then he can use the Catalyst NoSQL as Srinath mentioned earlier. Then once the developer done with the database design, he then moves on to the application development where he starts coding the server side, which is the APIs, right? In order to code the API, he can use any framework, Spring, Express, anything that is available in the market. And in order to host the server side, we provide a feature called app sale.
Oh, okay.
Right? And once the development is over, the server side development is over, he can use the API gateway, which we talked about earlier, to manage those APIs, like authentication, throttling, and so on. And once the server side is over, then comes the client side, where the web client hosting comes into the picture. So they can use that feature and host their client files. And also we are working on an upcoming service called Slate, which we discussed earlier, which further enhances the client development. So if you take all these stacks, the Catalyst provides an offering in each of the stack. And apart from the development, you can use our very own CI/CD pipelines to build the code, to run unit tests, to run QA automations, and so on. And also you can use Q Engine, which is our no-code testing platform, which you can just record the requests and play the test cases and all those kind of things. So that's why the DevOps aspect of Catalyst kicks in. So not only application development, from managing the application, from testing the application, and also managing the deployment lifecycle. So everything you can take care with the Catalyst platform. So that is why we call Catalyst as a full stack developer platform.
I remember one thing, like I initially saw Catalyst with fast function as a service, and you also did mention that people, when someone says serverless,
Yeah,
people should not have this misconception that
yeah,
we're just writing a function and trying to run it on the server. It's just so many things which you can actually do with serverless.
yeah.
So when I saw Catalyst growing, like I once opened the page and I saw that it is capable of allowing developers to use frameworks, both front end and back end, like React. And let's say I'm a Python developer, I can use Flask or Django. So we just, in my opinion, went big bang from being just uh, fast serverless to full stack serverless. So that was one, it just put a smile on my face when I looked at all these things. So I was really happy. And my next question will be I did go through the application and I found something called a smart browse. Could you please explain me what that is and how can the developers build anything with it?
Yeah, I mean, Smart Browse is a remote browser management platform, with which you can spawn remote browsers on cloud. A typical use case would be, I think many would have gone through the Zoho pricing page, right? So whenever you go to a Zoho product, you can probably click the pricing and see the different tiers that we offer, right? And there will be a link, like when you that provides an option to download that pricing page as a PDF. So when you click that, what actually happens in the backend is a browser spins up. We load this HTML into the browser, and there is a functionality called generate PDF, the browser PDF generation function. So it is generated, and then the PDF is streamed back to the client. So all these happen at the backend. So this remote browser management, the spawning the browser, generating the PDF, everything can be done from the code. The developer can code all these functionalities. So, but say when he writes a code like spawn browser, generate PDF. What happens is it fires an API to the backend and do all the actions. The backend API, in the sense, the backend browser, it fires an API to the backend browser. So that backend browser is being provided by the Smart Browse platform.
I see. So it's like reading whatever is on the page and you're just converting that into a data set and doing something with it.
Yeah, I mean that is one use case. The other use case is you can even use that browser to run QA automations.
Okay.
Basically, like, you can open a link and you can run as many test cases you want. Like, click this button or click this text box, enter something, validate the error response or success response. So that is also pretty much possible. And another interesting thing which we did with Smart Browse is in especially in Tamil Nadu, down south in India, there are some. I mean, we love movies, right? So there are a lot of huge movie stars, and getting first day for show ticket, it's extremely difficult. So what we did is, so we wrote a code, and using our Catalyst cron, we scheduled it to. I mean, we scheduled the code to run for every 2 minutes. And in the code, we will probably use Smart Browse and spawn a browser, go to the ticketbookings.com and check whether the movie ticket booking has opened.
I think each and every one of us need that service.
So if the movie ticket if it has been open, as probably a mail will be sent to us so that we can quickly go there and book it. I mean, we wanted to book it automatically, but we have to enter our credit card details and all those kinds of things. But yeah, we can do that. But we just wanted to send a mail. So we just want to stick with that.
We'll be the first ones to grab the tickets,
Yeah.
Maybe we can also apply this to, the visa application process as well.
Yes.
Actually, there are actually tools which does the same. And then that's the reason why these visa booking applications or the websites, they allow you to log in just 12 times a day. They block you after logging the 13th time. Okay, just because people have started using these kind of tools, they have those kind of checks.
Yeah. I mean, we're not sure whether it is a valid use case, but it works.
Yeah, it does a job. So you
Yeah.
don't have to go and repeatedly press the refresh button again and again, right?
It works. So I mean, we were able to secure a first day movie ticket with this.
Yeah.
I'm just
Just a hack we
calculating
did.
where can I apply this? What are the other places I can apply this? Because I've been through, my own US visa. I mean, I used to wake up in 3 ungodly hours, 12 o'clock, midnight. Then I used to set an alarm at 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. in the early morning, and then 6 o'clock. So one fortunate day, I got it. Around, it came up in the time when I didn't used to check, which is these hours, actually. So
Additional thing, I would like to add a point in that, recently OpenAI actually announced the features for agents, agentic AI. Okay, so it's like the LLM just generates a code, and then it creates a remote browser, and then you just, whatever use case you just told, it is being built as an agent. That means that particular agent does the job for you. Okay, so the backend for that particular thing, a remote browser has been used. So with Smart Browse and our LLMs coming in, we'll be able to create AI agents in Catalyst.
that is quite brilliant, actually. You don't need to do the manual work after that. Actually.
Exactly, yeah.
The future is very bright. Okay, let's move on to the next question right here. So I'd like to hear about upcoming features. Just summarize it. You have spoken about many things, I know, but just summarize on the features and enhancements which we are going to expect this year in Catalyst.
Sure. So the major release which we expect is obviously Catalyst Slate. So that's coming next. And then in the compute side, so currently Catalyst support 3 runtimes: Python, Java, and Node.js. We are actually rolling out a feature for custom runtime. That means you can bring your own runtime. That means, there is a Docker file somewhere. You just bring in a Docker file, and then you can just deploy it on Catalyst. It just runs. So we call it the custom runtime. Okay, so that is coming as part of the app sale feature which we have in Catalyst Serverless. Okay, and then in the databases part, what we have is a serverless database. There are requirements from customers for having open source databases, say for example a Postgres, a MySQL. They want the exact version or exact open source version of those particular databases to be provided as a managed services in Catalyst.
Do you mean to say like integrating with, let's say, Postgres and...
Not integrating, we are providing Postgres as a service.
Oh, okay. I got you now.
Directly. Okay. So that is being built, and it will be soon available in Catalyst as well. And then from the developer experience aspect, if you see, we have certain things called code. So currently, if you want to develop certain things, you will be using your local IDE. Right, so we'll be providing an online version of an IDE so that everything else can be done from the console itself. Okay, so that is getting complemented with a repository too. Okay, so we will be providing a Git-based repository similar to GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. Okay, so it will be like the Zoho's version of repository, and it will be Git-based. Okay, from the developer experience perspective, we'll be adding this, and of course, all these particular services which are currently live in Catalyst will be having a cherry on top with AI capabilities as well. Yeah. So those are some of the upcoming things.
Pulling on that developer experience, what are the different things that we do to enhance or to give the best developer experience?
Great. Okay. So when you consider developer experience, so developers expect tools like, say for example, they want certain things to be available locally too. Okay, say for example, Zoho Code is a version of IDE for someone who wants to develop on the cloud. Okay, say for example, that will be used like there are in enterprise segments, there will be certain restrictions where you will not be able to download certain softwares or certain things. Okay, so it will be like in a contained environment, you won't be able to download everything. If that's the case, there will be no options for them to download anything from Catalyst. Okay, so the only option they allow is they just allow you to open the browser and everything you have to do in the console. So that's the use case behind providing Zoho, I mean the code one and the repository. Okay, but traditionally, if you see developer experience, what developers expect is they want everything in the local machine. Don't tell me to learn something new. I have everything in my local system. Say I am using a VS Code. I have everything. Just make this platform work with VS Code. Okay, so this would be the traditional expectation of a developer. For these, we actually offer many tools. Say, for example, we have a command line interface. Okay, this particular command line interface helps you, serve functions or app sale in the local machines, and then you will be able to deploy your functions, app sale, and web client hosting, everything into Catalyst console using a single command, Catalyst deploy. Okay, and for the VS Code users, we also provide a plugin, a Catalyst plugin for VS Code. Using that, they'll be able to develop easily. And all these particular things, see, we have so many services, say, for example, cloud scale, serverless, right? So each of these particular services will be having separate SDKs. Say, for example, I want to insert data into NoSQL or data store. We'll be providing SDKs for everything, SDKs and APIs. Okay, so from a developer perspective, developer experience perspective, there are so many developer tools which we actually offer developers to make their development easier, with Catalyst. Okay, so they don't have to do anything specific, it just works.
That is a whole lot of experience for the developers actually. And I think we're done with all the core questions. But before moving on, any set of advice would you like to give to our developers and all the curious people out there interested in science, engineering, and technology?
Catalyst is growing really fast. So just make sure you don't miss all the new updates. So that is the main thing which I wanted to convey to the developers.
Even me, because I was thinking of bringing in the training concept for the Catalyst. So I'll have to go through the entire Catalyst application for this. Anything you would like to add up, Arvind?
Well, I would like to give a general piece of advice to the developers. Spend as much as time you can in the analysis phase. So before starting anything, learn as much as you can and spend as much as time you can in the analysis phase. So that is one general advice I give to any developer. So whether you're starting from scratch or whether you're doing an enhancement, just spend as much as time in the analysis phase.
That way, I think they'll be able to, if they spend a lot of time in analyzing and learning things, I think deployment will be quickly done. Instead of that, if you jump into something not knowing what you're doing, that is just simply going to waste a lot of time there. So that's there. This is the end of this round, and we'll move on to the next one.
Sure.
I have a role reversal question for you. Like, if you were the developer and you were the PM, then in a given day, what you would like to engineer and what you would like to R&D?
Okay. I think I'll pick our upcoming service slate. I'm very much excited about it, and I always love to do PM for a slate. I think it's going to be a next big thing in Catalyst. So, yeah.
I would pick the databases. I was talking about MySQL and Postgres offerings, right? So I always believe data is everything. Even in this AI era, all these particular LLMs were actually trained with data. Okay, so I would like to engineer a particular database which actually can scale to the large extent of the requirements of this particular generation. Okay, so that would be pretty much interesting.
The one that you said is actually my punchline in all my trainings. When I go into my trainings, I say data is everything. So whatever it is, like you can't throw garbage into your system. If you're performing data analysis, you can't analyze garbage and so on. As a fundamental aspect of data science, data has to be there and it has to be clean. So I use that punchline very often. Like, data is everything you need to think about. And when you're learning a feature, think in perspective of the data. Actually, I think we have done this round. This round is going to be reactions round. So I'll be asking each one of you a few questions, and you'll have to give out your reactions. We have some props available right here, so you'll have to pick it up and show it as well. So the first question will be to Srinath. A developer is insisting that a feature request is technically impossible to implement.
Most of the time,
So which one will you pick?
I would take this. I would love to hear their answers on why is it not possible. The creative ways of telling why this is not. I would just love that. I will just laugh at it.
But we always speak the truth.
The next one is, a customer has misunderstood Catalyst to be a science-based application somehow. Because it's Catalyst, so they might have thought
Chemistry,
it's
with chemistry details.
with chemistry details. Yeah.
How do I convince the customer? I don't know.
Okay. The next one is, a customer suggested a feature that did not make any sense. You worked on a particular feature and someone says that it doesn't make any sense.
I would actually think through that. They are telling something because it's actually a pain point for them. Okay, maybe it's not relevant for that particular feature, but there might be ways where that particular problem can actually be solved. Okay, so yeah, definitely we can think through that.
A typical PM answer.
A messy bug is discovered right before a feature launch. Both of you.
You go at first.
What else can I do?
Well, I'll have multiple reactions. The
Okay.
first one is this. I'll just worry why now. Next thing is,
You have to work on it. So
yeah,
How do
think through it.
think through it.
Nice.
And then once we found out the bug, and that's it. It's cool that we found out the bug.
Yeah,
And
I'll be
fix
with the
it.
happiest man.
But that came in a sequence, actually. The next one is a meme about Catalyst being better than all the other PaaS in the market goes viral.
Well, free marketing. It's just free marketing. It's easy.
We don't have to do anything. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
free marketing. What do you think, Arvind, about this?
Cool, yeah, same. Everyone loves free
Yeah.
publicity. So yeah.
The feature you worked on is not explained properly in developer documentation. Like, let's say you worked so hard on it and someday you come across the help documentation. It doesn't explain it properly. It doesn't convey the message. What would be your reaction, Srinath?
Again, time to work. So we need to just brainstorm what's wrong.
Think about it. Okay. If Catalyst were turned into a feature film and you both are the lead characters in it.
It's easy.
Yeah,
Both of you?
obviously. Yeah. We'll have it like this.
You did not get invited to an important milestones celebration.
See, I hope it is not intentional. And even if it's so, what I'll do is I'll just crash into the party.
That I didn't expect. A feature does not work during a live demonstration. This one is for Aravind.
Well, I'll probably joke about this saying that, no, at least we are not faking our demos.
Okay,
Nice one.
So
good one.
I'll just joke about that.
This one is again for Aravind. The PM is asking you that there's something up and it's easy change, but you need to really, it's not an easy change, but you have to work your you have to break your head for this, what would be your reaction?
Like a complete rewrite, maybe, right?
Yeah, it's complete a rewrite, but he says that it is an easy change. Please go ahead and do it.
If he pays me for every time asking that, then probably no. I would have a lot of money now and I can retire.
With no extra
It happens
charges.
every time.
With
Yeah.
no extra charges, he'll have to give the reaction.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, again, multiple reactions. First cry about it, then I have no other option.
Okay.
Like, I have to think and then implement. So, yeah, yes.
Anyways, he's going to be happy about it. A bug you fixed reappears mysteriously after deployment. This is for you, Arvind.
I'm curious,
I would say it's not a bug, it's a feature. It is the feature.
Every bug is a feature for the developer. Yeah,
If it appears mysteriously, it is a feature.
it's a feature.
I mean, I'm just kidding. Again, we have to fix it. The thing and we have to fix it. Yeah.
My next question will be: the Wi-Fi is down during your most productive hours.
For me, it's no. I'll be just angry. Yeah. Straightforward answer. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just think the universe is telling me something. Go for a quick coffee break or something. That's it.
I know both of you are explorers, so
Sometimes the best ideas comes during these breaks. Even if it is you are in front of the system working something, you don't get that idea. These coffee breaks actually get you some.
true. That's the reason why Einstein used to take so much of walks.
Yeah.
The next one is your reaction to someone saying security can wait. We need to deploy fast.
No, not at all.
Obviously, yeah,
Which one? Yeah.
of course.
Even I would pick that up. That's quite outrageous to listen to something as nonsensical as that. Okay, this one is for both of you. You wake up and see that AI has replaced you.
Time to be a filmmaker.
Yeah, same. I'll do something else, I guess.
And what would that
I
be?
really don't know how to react to that, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I'll just probably, do something else.
And I think that brings us to the end of this wonderful podcast.
Nice. I really loved the last round. It was great.
Even
It was
I loved
fun.
it. This one. So thank you so much for being here, and it was a honor and a privilege to host both of you. I actually thought this idea, as I've already said, in 2024. I wanted to bring an impact by bringing in the PM and the developer so that it's an information directly from the kitchen. There's no middleman, no support person involved right here. Even they are not talking to, they're not, looking at the help documentation. Even that is written by content writers. They're speaking to people who are directly building something. So that is the reason why it is an honor for me to go ahead and host both of you. And down the line, we have other applications as well, but we kick-started with Catalyst. That's because Catalyst is one of our flagships right now. I would, in a single word, I would term Catalyst as boundless, because since it is pro code, there's no boundary to what you can build. So sky is the limit. So with that, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Srinath.
It was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this particular podcast. We will be bringing more such content in this series. This podcast will be published in multiple mediums, and the links are in the description below. Meet you in the next episode. Until then, stay curious and break boundaries.